Very excited to welcome to the show a legend in the Los Angeles sports business world, former owner of the LA Kings, friend to Wayne Gretzky and many other sports stars and celebrities, Bruce McNall. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing okay. I'm here. So we made it that far.
Yeah, that's good. Glad you could show up and fit us in your busy schedule.
No, well, for you, I would. You know,
Well, thank you.
Alex, no, but you, yes.
Come on.
Well, there you go. Good. I feel like now I'm a crucial component to this. That's great.
You're critical.
Fabulous. So, I mean, let's just jump right in because we want to give them what they want. You bought the LA Kings in 1986. Did
Yes.
you ever dream of actually owning a hockey team?
No, actually, I started in sports when I bought the Dallas Mavericks in 1980. I was 29 years old, and I was a partner with another guy, and I learned a lot because at that time, basketball was unheard of in Dallas. Dallas is purely a football town, and so I learned a little bit about how to take a sport that's not indigenous to the area, like hockey is not indigenous to California, and to make it popular. So that's what I did. I started with that and learned from that and bought the team in 86 from Jerry. Actually, I bought half the team in 86. And then in 87, 88, I completed to buy the whole team at the time.
Oh, wow. And what drove you to buy the Kings specifically? Were there other hockey teams that were available?
No, LA, baby. I'm an LA guy. I got to be in LA. Okay.
Right.
LA is what I know. It's what I love. And when I was a kid, the Kings first formed in 1967 when Jack Quick owned the team. And I would go to the games in high school and later in college a little bit with a friend who happened to be Canadian. So I became a fan, and it was easy to go because there were about the place holds 16,000 people, and there were like 3,000 or 4,000 would ever show up. So you could sit on the bench with the players; they didn't care, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, okay, any fellow Canadian will make you a hockey fan for sure.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what happened. So I was a little bit of a fan, so I thought how cool it would be. And Jerry Buss and I had known each other quite a long time, partly through basketball and partly through coins. He was a Bitcoin collector, not ancient coins, which I dealt with, but he was a Bitcoin collector. And so we dealt with each other, and I used to bug him about buying the Kings. And one day he finally said, "Okay, let's do it." And that's what happened.
Way to be persistent.
I'm very persistent with everything I do. So
That's awesome.
And the Lakers were definitely like taking a lot of the spotlight. So you were primed to go ahead and take some from them, right? I mean, they were winning everything.
Absolutely. Jerry Buss had me buy a small piece of the Lakers at the same time. So I had 4 rings myself during the Magic era, you know, the Showtime era. Yep. And I learned a lot from Jerry. He was the smartest sports guy I've ever met. He knew more about how to market and what's needed, especially for the LA market, which is unique. Certain cities, like all the Canadian cities, or Chicago or New York, places like that, they're going to sell it every game anyway. But not LA, that's for sure. So I learned a lot from him.
Mm-hmm. It's always good to have a mentor.
It is. It's useful. Yeah, exactly. Now I become a mentor. How crazy is that?
So then you buy the Kings, and then you get Luc Robitaille's rookie season, and he wins the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's quite lucky.
Well, it's very funny because I actually had 3 players: Jimmy Carson, Luc Robitaille, and Steve Duchesne. All 3 were Rookies of the Year, or rookies, All-Star rookies. And Luc won Calder Trophy, you say, which is Rookie of the Year. And I have a funny story about that, where I had a party for Luc. And in those days, the only celebrity restaurant around was Spago. Mm-hmm. Not the current Spago, the old Spago up on Sunset Boulevard. So I called Wolfgang Puck and I said, "Hey, I'm going to have a party." We set up a party. He set it all up very nicely for Luc and the 2 other guys. And I invite, you know, because I'm in the movie business also, I knew a lot of movie stars. I invited all these movie stars, other celebrities. So as they're coming in, the paparazzi are there taking photos like crazy of everybody coming in. And then Luc comes out of his limo. They don't know who he is. They ignore him. And the party is for him. They had no idea who he was. So Luc says, he tells the story better than I do. When you speak to him about that, he'll tell you the story. But it was pretty funny. Nobody recognize them. What are you doing here? Are you allowed in this place?
I know, right. Well, they don't have social media where, everyone kind of knows everyone's visual nowadays because you're out there and you only know what the media really shows. And there wasn't even that much media out there. So, of course, that is
if there was social media back then, there'd be a lot more divorces. I can tell you that.
Who were the celebrities that were not recognizing? I mean, they're pretty big names.
Well, the celebrities would know them, but it was the paparazzi that didn't. I had Tom Hanks there.
Got it.
I had Stallone there. I had Tom Cruise there. I had all the 80s kind of stars. And all the movies that I did at that time, I had, at that time, in 87 it was when we did this thing. I just finished Mannequin. So I had Kim Cattrall with me, who started that. I did Weekend at Bernie's that same year as well. So I had Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy and so forth. So it was a whole big crowd of people. So
yeah. Well, okay, maybe Luc wasn't recognized, but one name that we definitely know is Wayne Gretzky. And in 1988, you shocked the world with that trade, and you guys became fast friends. I mean, what did that trade do for the franchise of Los Angeles Kings overall?
Yeah, I think that basically, I don't think that anybody would have believed it. I didn't believe it, that I could pull it off. But bugging Peter Pocklington, the owner of Edmonton Oilers at the time, for a long time, I finally was able to pull it off. And really, I thought it would be great for our team to make it a better team, make it competitive. I think I would sell seats better. I think he'd be a big draw. But I had no idea that it would have the impact it had on the entire league. I don't think Wayne even knew it himself. So when I did that, all of a sudden, everything blew up. I mean, we went from grossing about $100,000 a game to about $2 million a game right away. So 20 times earnings right away. It was crazy. It was absolutely nuts what happened. And then of course, the expansion took place as a result of him as well, because we would take Wayne and the team on these trips during the off season to various cities like Tampa Bay and Dallas and all this, where they have teams all now, and Nashville, by the way, since you're there, Alex. And we take them around, and we sell at every building. So it encouraged everybody to possibly expand the league that way. And that's what happened. Pretty crazy.
Is it true? I'm sorry. I was just going to ask real quick about the trade. Is it true that you actually offered the Edmonton the entire Kings team at first?
Well, Peter said to me, he said, "Look, I'm not going to trade Wayne." He said, "You could offer me your entire team, and I wouldn't trade Wayne." I said, "Okay, here's the entire team. Now what?" I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. So, in those days, really I don't have much hope, to tell you the truth, but it worked.
What made him do it?
What's that?
What made him do it ultimately?
$15 million in cash. I found that cash works for almost everybody, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, see, you picked up on that real fast.
Cash is king. Cash is king.
Cash is king. Yeah. Exactly. And at that time, he needed the cash badly, and so forth. So giving him the cash he wanted right away changed everything, made it happen.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, so what do you think? What is Wayne Gretzky's real pull? Why do you think it was just such a 10 times popularity that it grew? What was his real?
Wayne is a freak. Kind of like Greg Morris is a freak in cards and card grading. Wayne Gretzky is the Greg Morris of hockey. He's a freak. When he was 7-8 years old, he would sell out arenas of 20,000 people in Toronto because he was a kid playing against 15, 16-year-olds and scoring 10 goals a game. If you ever ask him, he can't explain it, which is why he doesn't really coach, because he can't explain what he does. He just does it. He could see things that he'd always say, "I go where the puck is going to be, not where it's been." That was the key thing for him. So he saw the game very well, knew it well, worked his ass off. He was the first guy ever, always at practices or anything, and the last one to leave. So he worked harder than anybody else. He loved the game. So he was an absolute freak, and I think the people around, he's such a nice guy too. That people just loved him. And
I have met him, and he is so nice.
Yeah, very nice guy, very sweet. Very
So
sweet.
respectful. I mean, they always say like if you're a Canadian, then you're just super charming and sweet and respectful. So he definitely holds the high regard of the Canadian. But you guys have definitely developed an amazing friendship. Can you tell me about that? What made you guys get so close and bonding?
I was kind of friendly with all the players, as you'll see when Luke talks to you soon. But Wayne was special, and it was a partnership basically. I was the owner, he was the player, but basically it was a partnership. So we were partners in that, and from that it led to other things that he was interested in. He was interested in racehorses, and I had a couple thousand racehorses at the time. So I would basically put him into a couple of horses that, and believe it or not, typical Wayne, they became superstars. One horse, Samaraz, won what they call the Arc de Triomphe, which is the biggest race in the world at that time, equal to the Breeders' Cup now, let's say. And we bought that horse, and he won the race at like 20 to 1 or 25 to 1. He wins. And we paid $800,000 for him. We ended up selling for $20 million 2 weeks later. So that's typical Wayne. And then we got the Honus Wagner card, which we get into a little bit. But I collected some baseball cards when I was a kid. And I asked Wayne, did he? And he said, yeah, I did. I said, hey, there's an auction coming up at Sotheby's in New York, and we're going to play in New York that weekend. You want to go to the auction? He said, yeah, let's check it out. So that afternoon we were already having a little bit of too much fun. A little party. Wayne could drink a little bit in those days. And so we were both hammered. We walked in there, and it was estimated for $100,000, which was by far the most a card had ever been thought of to get $100,000. I said, well, I think it's going to go for like double that. So we sit down, and it blows by us in like 5 seconds. It's like, bang, bang, bang. And Wayne kept nudging me, go on, bid. So make a long story short, we ended up buying for $451,000, which everybody thought was crazy. They would have put us in a loony bin somewhere. And I thought it was a little nuts too. And but at that time, I also owned a company with Upper Deck, which Upper Deck art memorabilia. So I thought this would be a good tool. So we took it around and showed it around. And anyway, now, long story short, as Greg would tell you, that card now was recently sold for $20 million. And the guy that owns the Arizona Diamondbacks owns that card now. And we understood turned down $50 million for that card. So go figure.
Can I go ahead and put it on the screen since we're talking about it? Because I've got a picture of it here. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
There it is. Yep. And you'll see that it'll say in the upper left corner, it'll say McNall Gretzky.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is probably. I mean, I would say that's the most valuable baseball card or any card in the world
by far.
Yeah.
And you'll also notice the number 1.
Graded number
because Upper Deck at this time, PSA, the company that slabbed these cards and graded them, I knew the founder of the company, and he said, "How about us doing this card, and it'll be the number 1 card." And sure enough, to this day, it's still number 1. So it's kind of funny, but
there's been other copies of the Honus Wagner that are not as high graded as that one. That have sold for what, 6 million, 5-6 million.
Yeah, I mean,
this one was easily, yeah.
I mean, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, a card in what they call basically poor condition. It looked like somebody had run over it with a tractor, and it sold for like $2 million.
Oh my God!
Go figure. I don't. But I would say if you buy the best in the world, whether it be a hockey player, or a baseball card, or a horse, or a coin, or a girlfriend, for that matter. If you buy the best, you'll never lose. It's only when you start bargain hunting that's not too cool. Quality, exactly.
Yeah.
Quality.
There you go. Quality. Well, you said that you paid $450,000 for the card, correct? Yeah. Okay, and you said, I can't even believe that we even spent that much. Do you remember the number before that? Like the auction bid before that?
Yeah, well, the 451 comes when it includes the buyer's fee as well. And I think that our ending bid, I think, on the card was $400,000. The $50,000 was the buyer's fee. So I think the bid before that was just like 380 or something like that. It was just, but I think we would have gone to $1 million. I think we would have paid whatever. It didn't, the money.
Well, the liquid courage helped probably a bit.
I've noticed it does help quite a bit even now. If you're a little shy, you get a little loaded, you're good to go.
It's just that little gumption, that little push that you need.
Will make it. Oh my God!
Well, that was a great decision in that.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
You guys truly have a great friendship. That's really great. And then, if you make money together, that's definitely going to.
We had a lot of money together. We had a lot of fun. And even I had the privilege and enjoyment of going to prison for 5 years, which I loved, I might say, because you have no responsibilities. You don't have to take care of anybody but yourself. You have 3 meals a day. In my case, I got a little bit better than that, shall we say? Because the guards all loved to have. So Gretzky would come, Luc Robitaille would come to prison. Luc could talk to you about that when he's in his trips to prison. He would come constantly to come see me, and he would bring his kids and his wife and the whole family, and of course all the guards want his autographs and this and that. So as a result of that, I got a little extra, shall we say? So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it that not only did you get amazing players and you get to see them, do fantastic, win, the Calder's Trophy, have the years of their lives in that sport and their career, but you've also got to develop such great friendships. Is there any amazing stories about?
Wayne. Some I can tell, some I can't.
Of course, only way you can.
We'll talk later, Nikki, about that.
There we go.
But a couple of things that were memorable to me personally were 2 things. One is that the first year I had Wayne, he won the Hart Trophy, which is the most valuable player of the year, for the 9th time in his career.
Oh, wow.
9th. So he goes up to give the speech. It was in Toronto, and the trophies were being handed out, and he got the most valuable player. And he came up and gave a speech. And then he gets to me, thanking me, and he starts to cry. He said, I wouldn't be here without him, and blah, blah, blah. And it was really cool and memorable. The other thing that happened that I'm always reminded of is the fact that when I was in prison, Wayne had retired at that time from New York Rangers. When he retired, various teams would retire his jersey, but he refused to have his jersey retired by either the Kings or by the league until I was out and able to be with him.
Wow. Which
I thought was very thoughtful. So
that's really thoughtful.
Those are the kind of memorable things that I had with him, more personal than anything else, really.
Yeah. Everything else was just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, everything else is what you would expect from a great player guy. So
great man.
Yeah, it really is.
I wanted to ask you if we could for a second. I wanted to take a look at just some cards. We obviously already showed the Honus Wagner. We could talk more about that, but I have a few cards because in our preparation for Luc, I just kind of wanted to get your take on some of these. And one of these I already showed you before we started. So this is Luc's rookie from 1987, his OPG rookie,
right?
And you were telling me about how the players the hockey players did not like those jerseys.
No, they thought they were bananas on ice because they're either yellow or purple. So either a rotten banana or something. They didn't like it. It was the Laker colors, and they wanted to separate themselves from the Lakers. So I said, okay, guys, what colors do you want? And they all said, this is before Gretzky, by the way. This is just before Gretzky. Mm-hmm. They said, how about white at home? Because many of the teams, the Canadiens, Toronto, and so forth, had white at home. And how about black on the road because it makes us feel bigger and tougher? Mm. And how about a silver lining because you're in the coin business? So how about we put silver in there? And actually, we had them made up. And actually, when I introduced Wayne at the press conference about me getting Wayne, I said before that you can find the film all over the place, but basically I said, and now I'm going to introduce the colors of the Kings. They think Wayne Gretzky. I said, I have a model to come out. So here comes Wayne out with the new colors, wearing the new colors. So that's what happened there. So,
and this is the card from a couple years later. This is Luc's 89 tops. And obviously, there's the colors. There you go.
They're the colors. Exactly. Yep. They like that a lot. tell you that.
I think everyone likes it a lot better.
It's sold like crazy because a guy or a girl for that matter wearing yellow, purple, unless you're a pimp or something, I don't know what. Who wears that? But whereas black and white can go anywhere. So that's
looks fantastic. Now I have to ask you about this one. So this is Luc's next card, and I think the hairstyle, the hairstyle from Luc here is perfect. I mean, this is like quintessential late '80s, early '90s look.
Right?
Yeah, the mullet almost. It's the classic look. Like players, they were not the most stylish people in the world. Little cities in Canada and places around, they're not real cool. It was hard to train them to dress well. Now they do, of course. Now they're making money. Now they're great. But that was pretty funny, actually. Yeah. Actually, another card you don't have probably, which Greg Morris just brought to my attention, is that there was an upper deck card of mine. I have several cards that they issued with me on various companies, and one of them apparently was a rarity. They made only a few of, and somehow at that time I signed it, and so that card was on eBay, which is where Greg's store is located, and it sold for $3,500. So Greg said, "Can't we get some more of those cards? Don't you have any stored away?" I said, "God forbid, I wish I did." So I have a very expensive card, and that makes me feel better because Luc's card there is worth about $3.
Right.
500. So way to go, Luc.
Yeah. I also know. I also want to show you this one. And I was going to ask him about this. This is the first one. So this is 92 for Luc. Yeah. This is the first card I noticed that he's wearing the A for assistant captain. I guess I assumed that he was the alternate captain since he got there, but it took a few years, I guess, for him to get to that level.
Yeah, Luc was very I don't know how you call it exactly. Despite what he did in the game, he was always underplayed a lot. That A was worn by other players. Like I got Larry Robinson, for example, who had been an all-star for many years for the Canadiens. He had the A. Dave Taylor, who was there before I was, Triple Crown. He had the A for a long time. He was a captain first, and later, when I got Gretzky, he insisted that the captaincy should be Wayne, and he was the assistant captain. So, yeah, it is the first time that I don't remember when he actually got the assistant, but that's the first time I can remember it too.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Pretty interesting. Now, I did find this is not a card, but I did find a team photo. And we've got you in the middle of this 90-91. So it's a little hard to tell. I didn't want to blow it up anymore, but you've got
I see it.
A pretty solid team. Yeah, there you are in the middle.
Of course. With my Versace tie, by the way.
Oh, good for you. You stylish, man.
Oh, yeah. See? Just
and
to let you know. See?
I think that's Rogie Vachon to your right.
Yeah. Rogie Vachon. And there was, to the right. Then the coaches, I think in that year we had Tom Webster, I believe, and Cap Rader as the assistant coach next to that. So, so there were the coaches, Rogie, and myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I wanted to mention this as well. This is also not a card, but just a photo. So you mentioned that you took your team around all kinds for preseason, all around the country and sold out preseason games. There was one obviously that you're infamous for, and that it was the one that you did in Vegas.
Yeah.
So
that's a funny story.
Is that outside?
Yes.
Outside.
Yeah, you guys built that rink, no?
I had this idea, right?
Great.
I said Vegas may end up with a team one day, and of course it did.
I know.
But I helped that out, and I said, look, I was very friendly with Henry Gluck at that time, and he was the chairman of Caesar's Palace. So I said to Henry, Henry, should we try to do a game during the preseason? And he said, okay. I said, I think we can do it outdoors. He said, well, okay. It was September. It was like 100 degrees in September in Vegas. So here we are outdoors. The ice is there. And we thought, would anybody come? Well, it turned out it had the largest gate in history of hockey at the time. Nobody, not Gretzky, anywhere else, had grossed as much money because every casino, every hotel had to buy the tickets. and it sold out like crazy. I paid the
Mm-hmm.
Rangers we played against $25,000, by the way, for that game. Anyway, we made a few bucks on that, and I remember on the ice, Wayne would complain because there were crickets all over the ice.
Oh my
And-
God.
And so he said, and it was watery. He said it's like swimming. We're swimming, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's melting.
Yeah, it was melting. So it was pretty funny. But we got through it and all went well.
Yeah,
Did you
the
win
photo.
that game?
What's that?
Yeah.
You win the game?
Of course we won the game.
I mean, I had to hear you say it.
Of course.
I
Do you
think
remember
that, I think that
Yeah.
photo is pretty amazing because it's like, I mean, this is 91 and like you can see the strip in the background. And then this is an outdoor hockey game in Vegas in 1991. Pretty crazy. In the preseason.
Preseason game. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
The league wouldn't try anything like that now, I don't think. They barely can have outdoor games in cold weather climates.
cold area. Yes, they do that. But we tried it. It worked. So, hey, it happens sometimes. It's great.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very creative.
Just
Yeah.
just one more card I wanted to show you, and that is of Luc's. So this is obviously later in his career, but a
Right.
moment for him that we're going to ask about, and this is from his days in Detroit when he finally won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
I know there's a lot going on in your life at that time, but what do you remember about when Luc finally got a Stanley Cup when he was with Detroit?
Well, it was a big deal, obviously, because as much as we had tried to win a cup, we never did. We went to the finals in '93 and got beat by Edmonton, by the Canadiens with Patrick Roy at the time. So we lost. And Wayne had already won 4 cups with Edmonton, but it was Luc that really wanted a cup in the worst way. And at times, I would trade him. And I would trade him to friends of mine. So we could trade back and forth. It's like, oh, okay, you want to date my girlfriend? Great, you can have her. I'll take this one. Same thing. So we had a lot of trading going on in those days with friends. So I traded to Pittsburgh at one time. Then we traded to Detroit because we were friends with those guys. And Luc finally won the cup, and I thought that was so well deserved. I mean, he's such a great player, such a great man that he finally got his dream of winning a cup. And to this day, don't forget, he is the highest scoring left wing in history to this day. Nobody else scored him in his position.
Wow.
So he's amazing.
Wow.
And now he's the president of the Kings, which is great. He runs the whole team, so that's wonderful. It's great.
Fantastic history there.
Nice of you to really give, you care so much about each individual's career that you're willing to, trade him around so that to benefit him as opposed to just the team you're thinking about.
Yeah, sometimes it was very hard for me when we had to make certain trades. I hated that. That was the worst part, was trading players, because I was friends with them all, and many of them had houses and their kids are going to school there, and it's not the most pleasant part of the game. But I tried my best to avoid it. I had the general manager and the coaches do that dirty work as much, but the players all knew that I could veto anything. So it was always a bit of an emotional problem when I made a trade like that. But so when I did, I tried to do it with friends where I could get them back again if I needed it.
Smart.
Yeah.
Now, do you obviously you don't own the Honus Wagner anymore? Do you own any other big cards now? Any cards you're particularly proud of, or just cards you like?
Not particularly. I stopped the collecting all those years ago. Since the Feds have most of the cards, I figured let them collect.
Yeah, right.
So so
the McNall collection.
You really can't go back. I don't feel anyway. It's easy to go back and try to recreate something like that, because what I had then, I'm not going to get another Honus Wagner like that again. So what are you going to do? You're going to get a second rate something? It's just not going to work for me. So I never really did that. And the world has changed a lot in the card business, as it has most businesses. But the card business, it's changed. And, so many modern cards are out there. It's just flooding the market. It's a different ballgame. So I'm not it. But
yeah,
I did have a Magic Johnson rookie card, and I had a Gretzky rookie card. So I had those. I gave them to Greg, but he has them now or something. I don't know what, or they're sold or whatever happened to them. But yeah, and I also gave Greg when the Kings players were so sweet when they won the cup in 2012 and again in 2014. the players then, none of them, of course, played for me. They voted me to have a ring with them.
Oh, wow.
So I have a 2012 and 14 Kings ring. I gave the 2014 Kings ring to Greg, who has it now and wears it. He would wear it for you, I think, Nikki.
Oh, I love that. I want to see.
Yeah. He wouldn't wear it for me. For you, he probably will.
That's amazing that they kind of rallied and said we want to give Bruce a ring. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very nice, very thoughtful, and again, in a way, the hockey business is a small business in a way, and the players, they all know what I did for the sport and for them and whatever, and so they were nice enough to do that. I thought it was very sweet.
Yeah, it's like a family.
Yeah, it is in a lot of ways.
And you made sure to make it that too. You can have that opportunity to have a family and a close knit, but it's really what you do as a person and as that member, and you truly rose to the top.
Unfortunately, the game has changed quite a bit from those days. When you speak to Luc about the early days of him and of me and what we did, it's different now. It's big business now. It's basically the teams are owned by not individuals like me, but big corporations, big business. And as opposed to the owners talking to the players one-on-one, it's all the agents and people you have to deal with. It's a world that's changed. You couldn't do what I did then to have the relationship that I had with Wayne or with the other players, Luc and so forth. I probably couldn't have that today. So in a way, again, that I had that fun era when you could do that, not so much today.
Well, you're in it at the right time then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for your time. I know we want to be respectful of your time, and we really, really appreciate you joining us. This has been awesome. You've shared some amazing stories and told us some really memorable things about your life, and I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Yeah. We'll talk again soon, and Nikki, I'm sure we will talk, or I will see you soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you.
You go. Take care.